And hi, everybody. Welcome to Rick Snider's Washington on YouTube, where you get the whole story. So please like, share, subscribe, comment, even hit the thanks button. That's for the algorithm to be happy. So thank you, everybody. Steve's already here. And he must have been waiting on me on there. So we got others coming. All right. So I don't do every Monday like I do during the season for live chats. Probably will again this fall, but we'll see. But when there's stuff going on, I'm glad to pop up. Some of you noticed I popped up during when I was walking through the cherry blossoms the other day. Just wanted to see how it worked, live streaming stuff and all. Have some ideas to grow this channel. So, uh, we're gonna try and just see how things work. Michael, what's going on with the notifications, Michael? I mean, happening on time. What's that mean? No idea. Um, That's taller. So I know everybody. We're let a few people come on, and we'll start talking commanders. And I know you're going to have a few an idea of what question you want to ask. Are they going to change the name again? No, But I think we saw something happen in the last couple of days that knocks out one of the contenders to buy the team. Hey, Bob, I'm glad you come on. I think Tillman Fertitta bought a casino. I think he got tired of his bid sitting out there for the Washington Commanders, realized it just wasn't going to go. So he bought a casino. So I'm going to take Fertitta off my board soon. All right. GoFundMe money, Cody, you can just send it to me. That'd be fine. You might notice my YouTube page. I did post a picture of my new tractor, which you guys help me do. That's why I hit the thanks button. I appreciate that. And let's see, can I show that? Yeah. So there's my new 180 that I always talk about. Hit the thanks button and throw a few bucks my way. You didn't pay for it all. You pay for the gas in it, I think. But I got it today, so I haven't had a chance to run it around yet. I've been too busy working, but I will soon. So it's nice. John Deere, gotta do it. 54-inch cut blade, so I got 3 acres to cut. This still take me a couple hours, but that's okay. I'm riding, not pushing, so that makes a big difference. Let's see. Who says they can't change the name for 5 years? They changed it twice in 2 years, Michael. Changed it from Washington football team, then they went to Commanders. Hank, what gets done sooner? New ownership announcement or Lamar Jackson getting a new team? That's a good question. Neither one of them is going to happen tomorrow. That's for sure. I'll say the new team announcement. I think Lamar is really dug in. I don't think Lamar may do anything until July, or maybe not even then. I could see him sitting out. I mean, he's dug in, and he doesn't have an agent who can try and talk sense into him. I know there's a lot of talk about Washington, but Martin Mayhew, Washington's GM, shut it down today, saying not going for Lamar. Now he has said that for a while, but that's the first time I guess he's come out publicly and just said, "Stop it, we're not going for the guy." Why? I mean, because you sit there and go, "All right." I was saying about it today. If you give up 2 ones for him, well, one would have been for a quarterback anyway, so you're giving up an extra 1. If you want to move up in the draft, you're going to give up more than that too. So why not just go with 2 ones for a ready-made NFL quarterback? But they don't want to do it. I mean, maybe it's the money in the end. I mean, he's going to want huge money. You're going to have to trade for him. You're going to have to rework his contract long term. So you're talking, I don't know, 40 mil or whatever he's going to want. I just think they just didn't want to do that kind of resource. Yeah, they like Sam Howell, but let's be honest here. Come on, you want Lamar, you want Sam Howell. You go for Lamar. There's not even any doubt over that. So, yeah, it's a lot of money to leave on the table. Remember Riggo? Riggo he said, "I'm not playing for this," and he sat out a year. And then he told Gibbs went to go see him and say, "Listen, come on back." And Riggo said, "Well, I want the money. I'll make you famous," kind of like the Young Guns thing. And he did. So give Riggo credit for that. He came back and he said, "I'm bored, I'm broken, I'm back," or something like that. It was pretty funny. Riggo was not the easiest guy to cover, but occasionally he could be pretty funny. Let's see. Matthew says, knowing Snyder's finances now, does the name change seem more like a charade, picking the least obstacle? Maybe. I mean, I know Snyder wanted to go Warriors. I wish he had. Here's how you do it. It's not about the American Indian. There have been warriors since humans picked up sticks and spears. You know, the Greeks were warriors. The Romans were warriors. Could have put the American soldiers or emblem there somehow and made it that. And I think that would have been great. I think that would have satisfied a lot more people than commanders or anything else. So, I thought they missed an opportunity there. Indy Bob says, Indy is a serious contender. Yeah, I know they're, even the books, sports books, I think betonline.ag had them 3-1 to get them. I could see that. Yeah, board broken back. I got it right, Steve. Okay, Steve and I used to work together for many years at the Washington Times. Let's see. Robert, between Sweat and Young, it seems one will not get another deal. Which one would I keep? I was thinking about this today. I could argue either side of this, but mostly you'd say you go with Sweat because you know what you're really going to get with Sweat, and you don't know what you're getting with Chase. So that's the hard part. I think you go with Sweat. Man, but you sure hate to see Chase walk out the door. Right, let's see. So DC Destiny 89. Oh, okay. I knew DC Destiny 42. Anyway, good evening to you too. Appreciate you coming on. Oh, we got a good crowd already for me. Yeah, I think less is more when I do this. 11 Shag. Is Jason Wright out with new ownership? I would not say first day. They may have him stay a year to help transition when they bring in. Depends on who buys the team and what experience they have in this matter. If it is a Stevie A, as I like to call him, because I can't pronounce the whole last name, Astro, blah, 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 blah. I'll learn it. If he buys a team, I will learn to say his name and spell it. But Stevie A doesn't have a sports background. He might want to keep Jason. I'm sure the NFL would recommend doing something like that for a short term, at least of 6 months to the rest of through the season. Jason may want to find other opportunities too if he doesn't see it's the right fit. There's a lot to go there. What's the next pizza place I'm going to visit? Asked Alexander. That's a good question. I've had several friends mention places to me, but none of them have shown me the money yet to come and have them buy. But maybe Stained Glass Pub in Rockville. I don't know. So busy chasing what's going on with the owner stuff, and now spring is finally here. So between time spent in my yard and time going out on tours and all the Commander stuff going on, I don't have any time to go eat pizza. Man, what's that tell you? I know a lot of people were upset that I said I felt a deal was pretty much imminent, and it hasn't happened yet. But there's also been 2 buyers emerge in the last 10 days or so. So I'm not saying I was wrong, and I'm not saying the person I think, which I never name, won't get the team. It's sort of like everybody's coming to the table now and seeing what's really here. Now the bidding's getting better and sharper. And Snyder's taking a little longer to do this. And the NFL has finally said, okay, we can see you're serious. Take your time, because the more money you get, the more money these other guys will get. If not selling their teams directly, then refinancing to incur higher debt levels if they want. So they're all hoping Snyder gets the $7 billion so they can get more on there. Is training camp in Richmond or the Burn? Asked Bob. I think I've heard nothing about Richmond. I don't think they're going back there. So right now they're in limbo. So I would expect to be Ashburn. Oh, lovely place in the summertime. But yeah, Richmond's hotter than the sidewalks to hell too. Michael, I think they're making up some of these bidders to raise the price. It's possible. Listen, I do the same thing. You try and see if somebody will bid against themselves, sort of like Dan Snyder has done himself a few times. Steve says, I don't know how Dookie Brian Davis was in touch with that much money. Yeah, I mean, I heard the sports junkies this morning talk about, they had heard that Brian Davis had $9 billion cash available for this deal. Who has $9 billion in cash? If you got that kind of money, it's tied up in something you're buying. I mean, obviously he must have multiple people, with cash coming together. But I got to see the money before I'm going to believe Brian Davis is the real one there. And a Dookie owning of Team Air, Maryland part of me doesn't like that. What's my best bet of who's finally going to own this team, says Isaac. I think about this all the time, man. I don't want to say Bezos, and yet I fear that it is him, with just coming in with the money. If it's not him, I thought it would be Josh Harris. But if it's going to be Josh Harris, I think it would have been him by now. So the Stevie A out of Canada kind of intrigues me on this kind of thing. And now, Fertitta looks out. So I don't know. James B. from Hickory. I got family in Hickory. Who do you like in the Final Four? Maryland's playing well against South Carolina. Maryland was playing well. I stopped watching to come do this, but South Carolina finally got ahead of them again. They were good, two good teams. Give it credit. It was a nicely played first half. I thought they closed down the Richmond facility, says Robert. I don't know if they closed it down because I haven't been down in a couple of years on there. It's the city owns it, Bob was asking. City owns it, so they can do what they want. They always wanted to make it into like a medical facility. And it was never meant to be just, Commandersville. But they couldn't get anything done for quite a while. Let's see. Steve, I know Duke was paying off their players long before NIL. Well, I don't know anything about that. So I can't say anything to that. Marcel Jackson, if DC gets a stadium on the RFK site, what will be of FedEx Field? You'll hear this big boom and a bunch of things crumbling in the dust. What else are you going to keep FedEx for on there? Daniel, Lamar Jackson coming to Washington sounds kind of funny, like RG3. Yeah, listen, the Ravens would do everything they could to keep him from going to Washington anyway. They don't want him in a local market and have a bunch of kids from Baltimore following him, becoming Commanders fans. Never give up like that. What do I think of former ND coach and DC native Mike Bragg going to end up? Don't know. I don't know everything, man. I saw that too, but don't know that one. It'd be nice if he came locally again. Mutib, thank you so much, Mutib, for kicking in some money. I need gas money for this new mower, guys. I do the show, try and do something for an hour, so hit the thanks button and throw a few bucks. I would appreciate it. He said, I'm the only Snider he wants around the team. Thank you. Although I am spell it with an I. What do you think? Who'd be the better owner, Bezos or Harris? Harris. I don't know that Bezos would be doing anything other than buying us as a, part of the old man's club of owning a football team and the money. Well, he doesn't need the money. I think you see it as a good investment, but I don't know. I think Harris would take it more seriously, but he doesn't have the money that Bezos has. But then again, would you ask, what did everybody always say about Dan Snyder? Oh, he's got money. He can do things. He just wants to win. Who's that? And that didn't work out real well, did it? So don't be blinded by the money all the time. Do I think that if they moved to RK, the practice facility would be on the FedEx spot? Or would they leave Ashburn? Asked Justin. I think they'd leave Ashburn. I think they'd be in D.C. somewhere. I don't know where, somewhere around RFK, because it's about tax revenues. D.C. wants to put this money in, help out with an RFK site. They want tax revenues back. And the teams, player payroll, things like that, add up. Don't let them, Maryland, have that for free. Just like Virginia's gotten this for free all these years. Never had a stadium, but they've had the practice team since the early 70s. It's a lot of payroll years. Any chance the Commanders move up in a draft? Asked DC Destiny about tackles and all. Don't see him moving up. Of course, they moved back last year, and that worked out really well. But maybe 16. Maybe Joey Porter's there at 16. Maybe they go there. There's a lot of corners. They want a corner. There's a lot of corners. They can wait. What's my worry level for the O-line and Sam working together, especially with the new coach? Ask LimeWire 3, whatever it is. I'm not worried about it. I think they'll be fine. I like Sam a lot. Bob, George Mason has an opening for Mike Bray if he's interested. That'd be cool. I'd be all for that. Dizzy Spider, what are PSLs going to cost for a $7 billion team? Ooh, I don't know. I think we could start the bidding at $10,000. Wouldn't surprise me any. It depends on what. Think what suites would be. They'll probably, adjust it as to what the seats cost. And I think it's 22 NFL teams have PSLs, personal seat licenses. So I would expect it, especially if there's not a lot of public money into a deal, which I'm all for, not having public money in a deal if it's in Maryland where I live. But people want to go pay for it. It's going to be expensive, guys. It's going to be real expensive. Let's see. Kendall says, do you think Bezos was really kept out initially? It didn't matter what was initial, it's what's at the end. And you notice Dan Snyder got one of his media boys to kind of say, well, Dan would be willing to listen to Bezos now. Yeah, and might as well just hang a sign out there, bids wanted. Off to another world. What's a good spot where the players and families aren't stressed? Their own houses. I don't know. That part I don't really follow too much. I got lives. They got lives. I'm not one of the reporters that hangs out with players after games, after hours and all. That's some guys do, but that's their business. Do you have your outfit picked out for the parade? Asked Lime. Oh, no, I haven't. And I'll have to ask my wife. She pretty much buys all my clothes anymore. I have a rule: if it fits, I'll wear it. Which would explain things. James, Sam Howell's a good, smart quarterback with a strong arm. Absolutely. I mean, I've always liked him since rookie day last year. I love rookie day. Get first chance to see it. Some new players. I liked him a lot then. I think he could be fine. Robert. Bezos could be doing the same thing as Tepper in Carolina. Wait until the highest pitch. Yeah, I always thought he'd kind of show up at the end. And we're nearing the end. I'm not sure when it's going to happen, but it's going to happen sooner than later. Sometime in the next month. Don't be yelling at me about, I thought it was going to be done. Whatever. This is a hard job to do. Hard job to come up with following this. This is harder than the last sale, I think, because there's more bidders right now. Last time it really wasn't. Is the goal still to have an entertainment district around the stadium? Asked Cody. Yeah, that's always been the idea. Although RFK would probably not do that as much as Maryland and Virginia would. Because the room's tight and they want things like housing. How much housing you need? I mean, the mayor wants to move 15,000 people down into the city again in downtown. We're growing. Washington's about 700,000 people now. Justin, how come we never hear you asking questions at the pressers? Mostly because I'm a columnist. And I was a beat writer for many years before we really got internet savvy, or you would have heard me be first. I think columnists often come up, you only get a limited amount of stuff. I think beat writers should have the right to ask the questions. If there's something I really want to ask, I will, but they're pretty much asking what I'm asking. And when I see columnists do that, they often want to say, look at me, here I am, I'm asking a question. Listen, I've asked a million questions in 45 years. I don't have to prove anything, but that's probably why. That's mostly why I let beat writers have their time, because they deserve it. They're the ones putting in 24 hours a day. And so they shouldn't have somebody like me asking a dumb question and taking away their time. I've always felt that way, even when I was a beat writer. Do I expect Snyder's to be around for the preseason and regular season, Gregory? No, I think it'll be done by the preseason. New owner should acknowledge team history and take get back to Frostburg or Carlisle. JJ, I spent 5 summers in Frostburg. No. Carlisle is fine, but frankly, I like it better here. Let's see. Steve Repsch says the undefeated DC team is leading 17-8. Good for them. Hey, good for the defenders. I know people really enjoy them. There's room for 2. It doesn't have to be one or the other. Off to another world. Players hate driving to and from DC, FedEx. I can see players living in Arlington. I mean, it's up to the players where they want to live. But if you're in the practice facility and you're playing, mostly it's games is where taxes are decided anyway. But you still want all that. You want the money locally best you can. But a lot of nationals I know live in Arlington, and they drive different hours than most people, so they can jump across. Man, I was downtown Sunday. Doing a tour of the cherry blossoms. I luckily stayed away Sunday. It was insane. People left their cars on 395 and walked. Are you crazy leaving your car on a highway? That was nuts. Silly Goose is here. All right. Do you think you could win an arm wrestling match versus Livera? Oh, I'd take him down in a second. That'd be easy. Now Tommy's going to be mad at me for saying that. But sure, I could take Tommy on. I got the guns. So... it's all those boxes I carry moving to this new house. John listened to me on the Al Gaudi's one. The weirdest part, I did Al Gaudi's podcast this week. As Al said, we had never met, and I was like, "No, that's." I mean, I know we didn't see each other all the time. I had no idea we had never met. So, and we both have been in this market forever. It's really weird, but sometimes studio radio guys, they never come out to anything, and I don't go into radio studios. We always do it on the phone. So I guess it's possible, but I was surprised too by that. And Al, man, Al's got a great mind for all this. Um, let's see, Hank. Could Brissett be seen this season if Howell struggles? Absolutely, because we're playing a short-term game this year, boys. This coach knows he ain't buying green bananas. He needs to have a win now, or else why set up for the next guy? Will Bieniemy be a success here? Asked Sound and Vision. I think he can be. I think this offense, if the line holds, can be decent. I think it'd be okay. Any of his XFL rules strike you as possibly in line for the NFL? Asked Steve. Don't know. I haven't watched enough XFL. I'm busy, man. I barely have seen the NCAA tournament. Thank you, Boy Wonder. Appreciate it. Carnus, how would I feel if they took Nolan Smith? Okay, I'll go for you on that one. I don't really know. How much are your pizza sponsorships? Asked Alexander. I don't know. I wish somebody would buy the pizza. That would be nice, wouldn't it? So far, it's come out of my pocket. But I can be bought. We'll see. Who do you think would be better at karaoke, you or Tom? Asked Lime. Probably Tom. Tom and I drank together before. It's been a while. We used to work at the Washington Times together. And we also worked at the Washington Examiner together at times. So Tommy and I have had a beer or two together. Tommy can put me under the table when it comes to that. Let's see, Justin. Capital One has to hire more officers to secure the area after Wizards game. They've had a lot of problems around Capital One. I was right by it yesterday, and I got to admit, I look around, when I'm walking on the street. Any chance to get new uniforms? Asked Joe. Not in the short term. Takes a while. It takes a couple of years to even do something like that. Have they hired an O-line coach yet? Asked Greg. I have not seen that, so I don't think so. I was wondering the same thing. Alex says they don't need new uniforms yet. Well, yeah, they still haven't wore out the old ones yet. Why do people buy clothes, pants that are all tore up? I mean, I think I remember that in the 70s, to be honest. So I like to tease the young people I know who have torn up jeans. I'm like, hey, man, here's a few bucks. If you're really that desperate, I want to help you out. And they go, no, it's a style. Like, I don't understand that. But I like tormenting them. I mean, I saw how they do it. They actually have a thing that rips them up. It's hard to believe, man. But that was a 70s thing. First time I met my wife's family, I had both my knees were blown out like that. And my father-in-law is military, and I had long hair down to my shoulders. I bet he thought, good Lord, who is my daughter dating? And he told me later on, he said, I've never been so wrong about somebody in my life. So he didn't expect much. I managed to exceed low expectations. Bob says, defenders are up 17-8. Good. Let's see. Who was better, Beathard or Casserly? Asked Matee. Beathard. I liked both men, but I'll say Beathard. Beathard was good about spotting talent. And so was Charlie, but Beathard. Steve, there's only one scoring Snider cared about was in his office or plane. Okay. Why do I read questions like that out loud? Alexander, there's a great pizza place in the Navy Yard called Slide Door. Okay, I put it on the list. People mention these things to me. I need people to say, Rick, come out and have pizza. Actually, I do tours still. I'm a licensed tour guide if you want to go. And you can always contact me. And actually, I've had six tours with viewers in this month. People keep calling and saying, hey, man, I want to go out. So I always say, if we have time, I'll go take you to a pizza place and we'll talk Commanders after the tour. So just go to monumentalthoughts.com if you want. Email me from there, see what I have for tours or whatever. And like I said, I've had 6 of them lately call. So we'll do pizza there. They have a really good pizza place around the corner from Ford's Theater that I like called Pie. But there's other places. Mojo Daddy, does Bezos want this team or does he want the Seahawks? I think he'd rather have this team than the Seahawks, but they're both good options. Seahawks have great fans. I mean, a little whiny sometimes, but and they say Washington out in Seattle too. Kind of funny. Can I update the sales thing? Says Joel. For those late to the show, late to the show. Come on, man, where you been? Uh, all right. So, all right, right now, it's a three-way race. Bezos, Harris, I think, and I think those are still the top two. But they're ringing that bell, trying to keep more bidding alive, and I expect something might take a couple more weeks or maybe more. Dan's trying to get it to 7 billion. So that's where we stand at this point. Everybody's trying to look for what else they can do. Bob he says that Charlie was a class act, and he was. Charlie Casserly is a class act. Michael, Rogers has already tampered. I'm curious to see if Goodell does anything about it. No, they won't. Off to another world. Wharton was retained, which may speak to him taking over the DL. Okay, I'll go with you there. Joel likes the tours. Oh yeah, we did go to Pie afterwards. They used to have a Cuban pizza, and they took it off the menu, and it really ticked me off on there. I did like Rocco's in McLean when I was there recently. That was one of the best deep dishes I ever had. That's where you want to, go and then start over again. There's no nice way of saying that. Let's see. I'm up to D. Smith. Ask Dan if the old man is part of the organization. Okay, I'm not sure what that means, D. Sean, do you think they go OT or CB in the first round? I would say CB. They've made a lot of moves on the line. Not that any of them are as good as a first round pick, but I think they go corner in the first round. Hey, Bob, appreciate you coming on there. Kevin, thank you so much for throwing in gas money. So I appreciate it. You moved to LA, man. I like LA. It's a nice, love California. So I'm glad you're still watching us here. But California, man, beautiful weather and beautiful people. What more is there to look for than that? Steve says, thing jumped on me here, Steve. Oh, it took your pizza away. I don't know. I missed that one, Steve. I've tried again. Steve knows pizza too. Probably is better than I do. Why have the Washington Wizards stunk forever? Asked Silly Goose. Because they've had awful front offices more than anything. It's not for lack of effort in a lot of respects, and just puts a lot of things into like medical care, facilities, all this stuff. But they keep having GMs that just aren't very good, in my opinion. I hate to say that about Tommy. I think he's a good man. Thomas, not enough Old Bay in Cali. Well, you can always get it off the internet. Have them send it to you. Okay. So Steve says a place named Pie Pizza, which is the one on 9th and 7th. 9th and F. Sells for $3.14. That's right, because it's Pie. That's also the password for the internet if you're in there. It was also when John Wilkes Booth was brought back to Washington to be identified dead. That was where the funeral home was, in the back. They came in the back alleyway. So Booth died basically in that pizza place. Well, didn't die in that place. Was dead in that place. Let's see. Justin, surprised Leon just hadn't gone for the football team. I thought he was going for the baseball team, and yet nobody talks about the national sale at all. I'm surprised by that. Oh, they saw Old Bay out in California? All right. I didn't know that, Kevin. I haven't looked at it. I haven't been to California in a few years. This pandemic ruined my travel schedule. I'm finally getting ready to head out on the road sometime soon. Wife's retiring. I'm semi-retired, and we can go somewhere. And I'll do this show from Europe or something, like Dan. Let's see. The Wizards chose the wrong name. I thought it was a stupid name, and I like Bullets. I know that the last owner, Abe, wanted to think he could help something about street violence. Imagine now. What do you think? Because, guns are worse than ever now. Today, that horrible thing happened in Nashville. You just think about those poor children who died. Why people are against, some kind of gun rules, I don't get. I'm not totally banning them, but, man, we got to do something about this. We got to do something about this. We can't just still have your children die. Can you imagine if your child or your grandchild, for me, were to be killed like this? It's unimaginable. So, I mean, Abe wanted to try and help with gun violence. That's why I changed the name. What would be my number one choice for a new stadium? Thomas asked. If Bezos gets it, I want it to be the jungle. And we'll play Welcome to the Jungle, and everybody dress up like animals, and it'd be a show. I think that would be awesome. You know, but Welcome to the Jungle. All right, me and Dan on a yacht. Steve asked. I was thinking I'd love to see just how big it is. If it's like 170 feet, how does that really translate? How do you live on something that's just 170 feet? But maybe it's bigger than even I think. It'd be cool to see. And Dan probably would make me walk the plank, but or arrest me for trespassing. Let's see, Alex. From a Orioles fan perspective, it's hilarious to hear fans complain about Angelos. They have no idea what a bad owner is. I don't think either one's going to get in the Hall of Fame. Cornell, who do you think would create a better stadium, Bezos or Harris? Bezos, because he'd overspend money. Steve, thank you for chipping in for gas. I appreciate it. Did I read John Keim's piece listing Snyder's greatest hits? I started to. I just thought, my Lord, look at how long this is, and how I lived through them all too. I bookmarked it. I'll get back to it. John did a great job on that story. MLB screwed Angelos, JJ? I don't know. You'd have to tell me more of that one. Justin, odds on Rivera being the 2024 coach of Washington. 10, I'll say 5-1 against. How about that? Angelos screwed Angelos, Michael said. He's a cheap owner. I haven't been an Angelos fan. Dude's got tons of money from the asbestos cases that he won. All right, Pearson. We haven't had a quarterback since you were a baby. Okay, I don't know how old you are as a baby, but Vinny Serrato's only funny line he ever had when they asked him how's he sleep entering the draft, he goes, like a baby. I wake up every 2 hours and cry. That was one funny line by Vinny. I'll give him that. Hey, Skins, fan all day. Appreciate you coming. Wow, caught up to everybody. Good. So, I guess we talk about, let's see, what do we want to talk about? I'm surprised you guys haven't gotten to a couple of subjects. The show does go on replay after this. We're done live. So if you came in late and want to see something early, it starts over again. It's on there all week. More people watch on replay than watch live. And we've got a pretty good crowd tonight. I mean, these off-season ones, I don't know, every Monday we'll see. If something's up, I'll do a show. If I'm sure I'll do some before the draft. But I also want to take a break once in a while because this gets to be a grind. I think we did like 26 of 27 weeks. I was sick one week. Man, that was getting to be a grind. Let's see. Indian Lake, Bezos would build a Mecca. I'm sure he would, but it would be, it's just going to be expensive. That's all I can tell you is if you're talking about a stadium that's costing billions, how do you think they get their money back from us? So if you're a fan trying to buy tickets, it's going to be expensive on their orchard taxpayer money that takes away from other things. And they'll still take all this money out of you. I was surprised how much pitchers of beer cost now. Not at stadiums, but somebody else was telling me, pitcher is like $25. Pitcher is $25. And he said, well, it's 4 beers. You think about a beer being, $6, $8 at a bar. That's what it is. I'm like, remember when pitchers were $1.50 at the VU at Maryland. So I don't really drink pitchers of beer anymore. Thank God. Can't afford that. Alex, would be sad to see Rivera go, but it makes sense. I guess Ron, I think, was the right person to hire at the time. He did a lot of great stuff to win off the field, if we can say that. He was the right person to hire then, but if he doesn't win after 4 years, then I think you move on. Have we talked about Chase Young yet, Justin asked? A little bit, but May 1st is when they have to decide about the 5th-year option. And Ron's letting it sit there right now. I don't know if they're going to do it or not. I think it's tough to say. I'll say they won't pick up the 5th-year option and then worry about it on the back end of having to pay him more if he plays well. If he doesn't play well, then they don't have to. So I think they probably won't, I guess, in the end. Greg, what happens if no sale by the next owners meet in the end of May? Then we start saying, NJ report, page 1, paragraph 1, and then keep going. You notice that's been mentioned out there in the NFL meetings. They're waving that still around to say, don't forget about it. There's a lot of games going on behind the scenes. Let's see, Cody, who would you take in the Commander's 16th pick, CB or O-line? Probably the cornerback. I think they need the corner more than they need the tackle at this juncture. Let's see, RB always heard that the Redskins did a terrible job hosting the press. Any insight? Well, I mean, if you mean like game day, it's not the greatest, but the food's free. I don't have to pay for coffee like I hear other people talk about. I don't drink coffee, but we don't have to. Well, we do have to pay for sodas in the team, in the press room at the park. Sodas are, I think, 75 cents. So it used to be free, and a certain reporter used to take a lot of them home. This is like 30 years ago. And then they made sodas like a quarter each. Listen, I don't ask for a whole lot. I got a place to sit, watch the game. The food's free. That's all I need. I mean, I know people want to have all these things. I don't care. I came up in newspaper world where you got nothing and you liked it. So that doesn't bother me any. I just want, as long as I can see the game, I'm okay. Has Danny agreed to speak to Mary Jo? No, Steve, he has not. I guess I can understand where he thinks it's not in his benefit to do so. And he had to talk to Congress, and if she wants to know what he had to say there, which was pretty much no comment, or I don't remember. So she should really wrap this up. And I'm sure the NFL is saying, just hold on a minute. They don't want her to finish either anymore than Dan does. But if they need her to finish and drop a hammer, that's when she'll do it. Otherwise, they'll just pay for it to go away. People sometimes write books about famous folks, and the famous folks buy the book outright and just burn it. And it never sees the light of day. The author got paid and keeps bad things from being out there about them. Now, that happens a lot, more than you might think. Not to me. I'm going to be able to have anybody. It's basically called blackmail in a way when you write a book about somebody like that and then sell it to them. I was happy with the hours old foil wrap hot dogs at UMD. Steve, yeah, the Zane dogs. Hey, man, it's free. I mean, I remember at RFK, some of the dogs were kind of greenish, but we never got sick from them, and we would fight over them who could get, because there weren't many, so you had to grab yours quick. Sports writers will eat anything, pretty much. The guys who are a little more educated now than the old days, I mean, we used to get drunk, and the sports writers, the stories of sports writers drinking were true. I mean, even in the 70s, I was drinking in newsrooms. We got sophisticated by, I don't know, the 90s. So things changed a lot. Hey, Chris, have I ever heard Josh Harris wanting to be the first owner to have a team in London? No, I haven't heard him say that. And it wouldn't be easy for a team to move to London. I mean, first off, the Jacksonville guy has the first one. There's 2 teams going to London. I'd have to think the second one would be a local owned over there. They wouldn't just bring 2 American owners and teams over. I think one would have to be homegrown. They're going to announce the foreign games. I mean, we know who the host teams are. We don't know who the visiting teams are. And Washington has a chance to be one of those. And they're going to be announced in, I heard May, but it could be April when they release the schedule. Everything in the NFL now is so calculated. So I'm looking forward to the schedule just so I know where I am for 6 months a year. And then I can tell my wife, nope, can't go to that. Got a game. Loves hearing that answer from me. She's like, can't you miss one? Well, I could, but, I'm not going to. I don't miss many. I think I missed one last year. It was Christmas Eve. I didn't, it was a road game, if I remember. So I have not missed many, but I have missed a couple of illnesses, things like that. Between the current candidates, who do I think the NFL owners would rather have? Bezos. They'd much rather have Bezos. Listen, as much as Washington sells for, I know they think, well, nobody really wants to sell their team, so it's kind of irrelevant in some respects how much teams go for if you don't want to sell. But you can also refinance your team based on that number. So that's where they can get more of their money if they wish to cash out, live an extravagant lifestyle like somebody has and suddenly has trouble with money. Hi, Witchcraft. Bonus money has to be in an escrow. Yes, that's right, Michael. Although there's ways to skin that cat. If Hal wins the job, but gets off to a slow start, does Ron bench him? Joe C asked. Yeah, we talked about this a few minutes ago. I know most of the crowd kind of cycles through like 15, 20 minutes of the show, so I don't mind repeating. I think it's a win now mentality this fall, or else they're not going to be around longer. So if Hal struggles, I could definitely see them bringing in Brissett on that. So a little bit why I'm surprised they didn't go for Lamar, but they probably got orders from the owner. Don't be tying up money like that. Because when you want to sell a team, you should let the new owner write that big check. Chris, if many fans were upset with the Mayhew press conference saying they are passing on Lamar, yeah. But they made it clear who the QB is. Yeah, you're right. I mean, I was just saying, I think the new owner should be the one who has to decide a big check like Lamar. So, do they think Lamar could make them better? I don't think so. I think it's backroom. We're not paying for this kind of thing. Would Dan have to pay signing bonuses if he doesn't sell the team soon? Well, yeah, if he doesn't get out of there by May, sure. But he can work it out. He can work that out. Nobody's going to be in a bread line. I wonder about those players that always talk about being paid in crypto. I wonder how that's working out for them. Slam and jamming. There you are. I knew you'd be around. You want Lamar. I mean, hey, Lamar would make this team better. Nobody's going to lie about that. Let's see. Lamar bet on himself and he lost. I don't know if he's lost yet, Alex. I think he'll be okay. There's some money coming. Angelos had a team drop into his market. Yeah, that's true. But then again, it increased sports awareness there. Listen, the O's win. Baltimore has always been a baseball town. I mean, Colts, they've been a baseball and football town. Colts, I remember them. People love both teams because both teams won. If you suck for 20 some years, fans can be a little upset. Look at the Nationals. I was reading today that their season tickets are way down. Yeah, because last year's team was a joke and they didn't do anything to upgrade it. And the team's for sale and people want to wait and see what happens. I don't blame them. If you don't want to franchise QB, are you even a fan? Says Michael. I agree with that. That's franchise quarterbacks, man. They make a lot of good days for you. Michael, $40 million will be a bargain in 2 years. Yeah, it's always the way it is. You want to be the highest paid guy now because in a few years you're going to be way down the list. Remember, if the Greek guy wins, it's Toronto. Toronto, yeah, with no T. I know. What do I know about how Canadian cities are pronounced? Is it Montreal? Brad, thanks for following. How did I get into this biz? I always wanted to be a newspaper reporter. When I was 12 years old, I was reading newspapers and thought, I want to do this. Didn't want to be a sports writer necessarily. Didn't have any preference. My first day in college, I went into the college paper, said I want to work here. The guy said, hey, great, you can work for me. I'm a sports editor. And that's how I became a sports writer. You believe that? Imagine if he'd been like the style editor. I might have been covering the ballet or something. But that's how I fell into it. And when you're young, trying to get hired different places, what do you know about anything? So sports was something I knew, and I stayed with it. I've written other things, anything from one day I spent Valentine's Day at the courthouse in D.C. and wrote about weddings there that morning. And then I went back to the paper. The style section was taking a piece. And I said, okay, I'll be back by, 1 o'clock. And they go, oh, my God, deadline's at 5. You're not going to make it. Like, what are you talking about? We cover games all the time. I mean, I was done by 3. They thought I was a miracle worker. In sports, that's just what you do. But it was fun. I talked to all these people getting married on Valentine's Day at the courthouse. So I did something different here and there, just to do something different here and there. In recent years, I've written a lot about food for different outfits. They've all closed, and now I don't have anywhere to write for them again. Been tough in the journalism business last few years. Just hadn't been to work. It's why I've done some other stuff and winding down a little. I'm 62, so you don't get to live forever. I want to try and spend a little more time away from this. Got plans for a big, big garden this year. Not that I'm going to eat any of it, but Want to try it and then keep the deer away from me. I'm staying up nights with my pellet gun trying to keep the deer away. How long before the sale is final? Do you think it would take to after that? How long to take to a stadium deal? A couple of years. I don't know. They're going to make 2027. I mean, they can stay at FedEx, but it's going to be a little longer. Michael, uh, turns out Shirley Povich talked you out of being a journalist. Wow. I knew Shirley not real well, but I knew him back in the 80s. He liked to come to the racetrack, and I was covering horses. Got to know him a little. I knew he had a pretty amazing career. He was in journalism for 75 years, starting when he was 18. And the last 25, Shirley worked for the Post. He wrote more of a weekly column, but still, he did 50 years Maine. I've done 45. Can I get the next 5 in? Depends on who keeps paying me to work for them. It's, journalism business is tough, which is why I'm on here saying, please hit the thanks button and throw money to me because, I got to figure out how to get by somehow. So I do stuff like this. I know, I sound like a whore. Well, all right. So am I getting into the cannabis business? Yeah, Steve. My son-in-law wants to have us grow some wheat. I've got 3 acres, so I've got some room. I said, a wheat field. And my other son-in-law said, what are you guys getting into? I said, moonshining. I don't know what we're doing with a wheat field either, but okay, I'm up for trying it. I was thinking of corn and watermelon and stuff, but we'll try wheat. Brad, what's my most memorable vacation? I'll say one of them. I went to Italy and that was awesome. I went to the Baltic Sea in 2019 and I took Norwegian cruises out of Copenhagen. And we saw Germany, Poland. We were in Russia, St. Petersburg. Helsinki, was in Stockholm, saw friends that day. That was an awesome vacation. Stopped in Iceland on the way back, London on the way over. That was one of the best vacations of my life. So if you can go to the Baltic Sea, I'm telling you, cruising those places, they love Americans because I think they're afraid of the Russians more. But they love Americans. People speak English. It's a lot of great places. Really enjoyed it. So I never thought Baltic Sea, but that was a great. But I've been to Italy was really great too. And I did a vacation throughout the whole UK. We did 2,000 miles on a bus day, seeing all the countries. And that was a lot of fun. Scotland, it was really great. So was Ireland, Northern Ireland. I thought Belfast was a fascinating place. So I've been to 23 countries, seen a lot. Went to Japan with the Redskins. Literally flew on the plane with them for that preseason game with Spurrier. That's a long ways, man. But Japan was cool, and I thought I could go to Japan for free. Why not? So I did the trips, like 16 hours each way. And could barely, I remember they won, but other than that, I don't remember much about it. Osaka. Spurrier used to call the Japanese player they had Osaka man. I don't think he knew his name. Best draft class you remember? What was the year they got Grim May? They got a bunch of guys. I think it was 81. That was probably it. JJS, is Shirley Povich Mari's dad? Yes. Never met Mari, but I knew Shirley some. And Shirley would come to the track and bet with his brother, and they were often eating lunch on my desk by the TV. And I'd like, Shirley, do I eat at your office? Yeah, whatever. Honest Brute, thank you for the money there. Yep, get the lawnmower fund. They're telling me I have to use different. They said I could use regular unleaded gas, but I should also use this other gas they wrote down. Not, diesel, but something else more expensive. I thought, I'm all about more expensive gas. That'd be great. So we'll see how it does. My John Deere hat's in the living room. They did give me one, Bill. When you buy John Deere and all that money, they pull out a big bunch of hats and say which one you want. I have my last one from my last John Deere. It's like 10 years ago, but it was getting a little kind of wore out. So I go get it, but then I have to leave for a few minutes to go find it. Ethanol, that's right, Bill, ethanol. He said it's better for the mower, gives it a little more gusto. First vehicle I ever had, Brad? Yes, a Pontiac Catalina, 1968. Of course, this was 1976. 444 barrel. Man, that baby could roll. I took it up to 120 one night. First, I was chasing one of my girlfriends to her house, and she could Mustang. She went quick. Hank, thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. Will the team trade Sweat for draft capital? I don't think so. I haven't heard that at all, but I would be surprised. I mean, he has a year to go on his contract, so you could say that, but I don't think so. I think people would rather just draft their own guy. But thank you so much for that. Be like Hank, people. Be like Hank. Like I said, that's a boat. Yeah, okay. 404 barrel Pontiac Catalina. It was back when cars were weighed massive amounts of. You got 10 miles to the gallon, you know. But I see every once in a while I see one online. It makes me want to buy it. You know, it didn't really have AC and all that. You know, I still have my. I guess I can start my new fund now for a new vehicle, but my car's got 250,000 miles on my 4Runner, and that 4Runner's been a good car. So I'm going to drive it till the wheels fall off, and then buy new wheels for it. 68 Chrysler Newport, Michael. That's a pretty good one. That was a big piece of steel. Historically, best DC sports franchise center, asked Brad. Oh man, that's a good one. Well, Cook. Okay, if we go past Cook, then I really got to think about that. But I say George Preston Marshall, and I know you're thinking, "Oh no, he's racist and all that." Okay, I'm not denying that. But he also did a lot of things that kept pro football going in the early years of pro football. But you know, nobody wants to listen to anything like that. What happens if Snider doesn't sell? Greg says, and the NFL goes, page 1 of the Mary Jo White report says you did this. They don't want to force him out, but I think they will. They don't want to because they know he'll sue them, and it'll be 10 years in court for, you know, $50 million in lawyer fees. You know, Goodell's got lawyer fees. He knows what that's like. To, you know, he has a lawyer background, I believe, so he would know how to bill people. Yeah. Short. Steve Rector, you got Short as the fourth guy? I mean, this list is short then if you've got Bob Short on there. Griffin would be a good one, too. That's probably one I should say. I liked Abe. I didn't really get to hang out with Abe a lot, but it was interesting. I like Leonsis. I think he's the smartest guy in the room. But, man, he sure hasn't translated to winning with the Wizards. That's for sure. And I don't really want to see him get the Nationals because I just think he's too caught up in non-winning things like, you know, the sports gambling and entertainment and getting your money. And 3 teams by one owner? Nah. Can Snyder afford not to sell? No, he cannot, Steve. He's got a lot of debt on him. That's the other reason of all of this. You know, he's got, you know, the banks want their money, you know, because he had to incur a lot of debt to buy out his partners. So, you know, they'd like their money back. And Michael said that's why Harris is a bad option. I mean, I understand that. And I know he's got problems now trying to build an arena in Philly. And it seems like a lot of them on one plate for one man. How much does sports gambling affect the franchise valuation? Brad, I don't know. I think it's a little early for that. I think we'll know a little more in a few years. That's a great question. Yeah, Steve, Leon's is also going to be NBC Sports Washington's total owner, and they're cutting out their Commanders coverage. At least at this point, that's the plan. And they had 4 guys last year covering this team. They're pretty much going to blow it off, concentrate on the Caps, Wizards, Mystics, and Go-Go, and whatever else he owns. That's going to leave an opening in the market for who wants to do it, but none of the main TVs want to. They barely have sports people anymore. That's because they got to do the weather 4 times in 30 minutes. I'm here with the weather. It's going to be hot today. I'll be back in 5 minutes to tell you how hot. You know, I mean, it's just ridiculous how much the weather is on the news now. Are there any potential owners that we really hope don't buy the team? Asked Sam. No, I wouldn't say that. I mean, whoever buys a team, I'll take them over Snyder. So, you know, I wrote a column for 106.7 The Fan. I still write for them. You can get it at Odyssey.com. And today I did write about, hey, no matter who's coming, at least Snyder's leaving. You know, we're done with this. So it's a win through attrition, if nothing else. So whoever buys it, I think. Now, the devil you know versus the one you don't know. Next guy might be worse. Who knows? We'll have to find out. But, that's for young people to worry about, not for me. But no Philly people. I agree that Josh Harris owning the 76ers and the Devils just makes for a weird day. I mean, you remember how everybody was upset with Bryce Harper wearing a Vegas Knights jersey during the NHL Finals against the Caps? Well, imagine if the Caps are playing the Devils, deep in the playoffs, and there's your Commanders owner rooting for the other team, or the 76ers. That would mean the Wizards are good and made a difference. But I just think it's weird to have somebody own competing teams. If you like to sell those, I'd be okay with that. And Michael's right. It'd be hard to be worse than Dan. He's really taking this franchise down to nothing. Print a T-shirt. Anybody but Dan. There you go. And people ask me, Dan, who? I look forward, Alex, to the day that I no longer have to talk about Dan Snider. When the day comes that Snider is not a curse word and people relate me to it or ask me, are we related, even though we're not because I spell my name differently. Brad, the cocktail choice. Don't really drink as much anymore. I had a heart attack at 42 and pretty much, not that alcohol caused it, but had to kind of cut stuff out. So I have a beer now and then. But hard liquor, I got a bottle of Tito's that I tasted at Christmas. And I bought a bottle, but I haven't even opened it yet. We'll open it at some point. I tried the George Washington whiskey, rye whiskey. That was so dry. It's like spitting sand, man. Oof. But it was George's recipe, so I tried it. But it took me a lot of years to finish off that bottle. Let's say, never go up, says what's all. Bring back Kirk Cousins. Well, he had a better year than a lot of guys, but no, Kirk Cousins is not coming back here. Similarities, differences between Snyder and Cook. Well, I mean, they're both tough guys. Cook was much tougher in some respects than Snyder. He didn't treat people poorly, but he did push people hard. So, people liked Cook because he won 3 titles. If he had never won a title, I think it would have been a lot different. Perception, but winning makes everybody great. ZZ, 42. I had my heart attack at Redskin Park. Bubba Tire saved my life. I had the heart attack, kills 19 of 20 men. So if you walk around with back pain right in the middle of your back, or feel queasy or lightheaded, don't say, I'll work, tough it out. Go get checked. Don't be a dummy. I walked around for 2 weeks wondering, why is my arm all hurt? Oh, man, I don't know how I got lucky and escaped that. So, and last year, some of I was laying on my kitchen floor and I couldn't move my right side for like 15 minutes. And we all thought it was a stroke and we thought this is it. Turned out to be a disc in my back. It was messing with nerves. And my leg still goes numb a little occasionally. But we're all deciding to leave each other alone for now after a lot of tests. It said it wasn't a stroke. So, guys, I got to just tell you, don't be afraid of doctors. Go get checked out. I mean, because things can be worse if you don't. So I'm trying to still lose weight. Now, I have a sleep apnea machine that made me go on, that even though I didn't have it very much. I hate that thing. After 6 months, they said, if you lose 20 pounds, you can get off this machine. Well, screw that machine. I'm losing this 20 pounds now. I'm working on it. And I just can't take it. I tried for 6 months. I don't like that stupid hose and everything. No. So, but you got to listen. A lot of people pass away in their sleep because of sleep apnea. So if you have it, try it. But I'm going to get through this. I didn't really have much of it anyway. I just was a sucker and started doing it. Must be sad. Dan's not going to say goodbye to me, Alex. Yeah, I know. I'd wave but I would use all my fingers as I waved. Keep it classy. My father always said that. Never burn bridges. Don't be saying stuff on the way out the door. And he was right. My father was a smart man who worked too hard and died when he was 58. So it's been a long time since I've seen Dad. So there you go. Okay, so it's 9 o'clock. There you go. Here's the bell. There you go. I'll give it a couple more minutes, but I want to go watch TV. I haven't seen TV all day. Let's see who I have. Anybody got the Maryland South Carolina score? I expected Maryland lost on that. Getting rid of Castle was Dan's biggest mistake. I think I'd say it's number 2, Nathaniel. Number 1 would be firing Marty after a year. That was stupid. It was over a stupid thing, and that cost his team a lot of losses. Instead of then hiring guys like Spurrier, this team was set up to start winning. Way it goes. Maryland's getting hammered. Maryland down by 17. That's too bad. I like Brenda Freeze. Really nice lady. I published her a book on their national championship in 06, because I have a book publishing company at times. So I like Brenda a lot. Smart person, funny as all. Brent, what's the best food at RFK? I didn't eat a whole lot at RFK, but I guess hot dogs. That's all we ever ate. I mean, back then you didn't have anything else. It was a hot dog or some popcorn. One time my father took me to a game. It was so hot at RFK. We were at a soccer game, or a dips game. It was like 100 degrees. And my dad worked outside, so he was used to the heat. But it was so hot that my dad broke down and bought us a soda. So, but other than that, Dad's not buying anything back then. So I remember that. I must have been having a heat stroke if he bought us a soda. Let's see. South Carolina 84, Maryland 67. Is that a final? Izzo? Ism. That's too bad. Hey, they went to the Elite Eight. Brenda did a good job with them. The stadium shook. Yes, Brent. And I think that the new stadium will have seats that shake too. If they've got a brain in their head, they will put seats in there that shake on purpose, not on this. They shook because those were portable bleacher seats for the baseball part of the stadium. That's why they shook. I mean, it wasn't concrete breaking. So I think they should. I think people would pay extra. Would you pay extra to sit in one of those seats? I bet you would. That'd be kind of fun. Nostalgia always sells. I watched the Gomer Pyle show recently. Surprise, surprise. I mean, anybody remembers that? But they shot it and it said District of Columbia Stadium on the front. It's before they changed it to RFK in '68 when he died. I didn't remember ever seeing that. I mean, my dad took me to games 1965, something like that. My dad was a big Senators fan. I'd never seen that one, though. Leitner was a Wizard once upon a time. Yeah, kind of. Gosh, I remember that. I've forgotten, but you're right. Alex, yeah, nothing like a day at the ballpark, especially a baseball game. I like baseball games. I like all sports. Listen, hockey, Caps do a great job game day. If you ever get to go, I mean, the noise and everything, it's pretty amazing. Isaiah, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Thoughts on the right or wrong move to go for Lamar? If they got him, I wouldn't complain. But if they don't want to, then they don't want to. So I would do it. I think I'd do it. I think I'd give up the 2 ones because, well, one's going to go for a quarterback anyway. And if you want to move up, you're going to spend more than that. So I think I'd go for that. Like I said, people watch the show for about 15 minutes at a time. So we recycle through. So it's okay to ask questions again. Daniel, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Any sleeper sites in D.C., Virginia, or Maryland after Dan sells? Gosh, it's so hard to find these things, you know. Michael says Roosevelt Island. Yeah, wouldn't that be something? I guess that would fit. Environmentally, there's a big marsh in the middle of it. You'd have to, take a water taxi across the river. That'd be kind of cool. But Roosevelt Island is you can only get to it from Virginia side by Roslyn, but it's actually part of D.C. way the river goes. That'd be kind of cool. They're across from the Kennedy Center, if you're wondering where it is. Hey, Sam, thank you for coming. Brandon found my YouTube channel a few months ago. Great. I appreciate you always coming over. Please call me Rick. Liberty and Hercules. I like that one. It would be nice to see Jackson playing for us. I don't disagree. It'd be nice to have a quarterback. I still think Sam can be a decent quarterback. I really do. So I'm willing to give him the year. I mean, why not? I think, Sam Howell could be a decent quarterback in this league. And you could say that about a lot of quarterbacks that didn't quite make it. If their sit-up in the right situation. But you got to have the offense that fits their way. And a lot of coaches don't want to do that. ZZ, thank you so much for chipping in. Man, I'm going to be able to fill the tank this week. Woo, baby. And this new mower I got has some kind of gauge that shows me how much gas per hour, I think it is, because I thought he said per mile. And I thought, per mile? How's that work? He said, no, I think he said it was per hour. It's on the gauge. I'll have to work on it. So maybe I'll do a video from the from the mower at some point. That would be kind of crazy, but why not? Sam, I honestly think LJ will actually get the deal he wants. No, I don't think he will at all. Joe likes the old school approach to reporting. Thank you. Appreciate it. Man, the final score, South Carolina 86, Maryland 75. Hey, man, they gave it a shot. They played hard in the first half, especially that I could watch. Sam, I'd rather wait for a cheaper alternative than Lamar. Lamar's going to want 40 plus. And I'm not saying that good quarterbacks don't get that, as crazy as it sounds. No, I don't know if I want to pay it for him. He's also been hurt some. And once you pay guys, you wonder how well they play. I mean, you worry about, the Albert Hainsworth syndrome. Let's see, Isaiah, who do they keep, Sweat or Young? Let one walk is a good way to recoup the lost player. Well, you get a compensation pick because they're first round picks who would walk away. So you don't get a first, but you get some draft pick there. They got a lot of depth on the line. I think you just use that pick to move on. You can't have all stars in every position. That's what the salary cap prevents. Do I think National Harbor's better site than RFK? If they had a metro stop, Daniel asked. Yes, I think if it's on the other side of the Beltway, right across from MGM Grand, all that. We're talking about National Harbor, the other side on the DC side. And I think it would fit fine, but that is a federally owned land. So the federal government as the one you got to get the land from, among all the things. And I rode years ago. I thought that was the best spot, and they can run a metro line across the Wilson Bridge. That's what those big inside lanes are for. That'll come one day. Favorite place to go shopping? Asked Steve. I don't go shopping, Steve. Lowe's, Home Depot, Tractor Supply. Yeah, I used to try and tease my wife. I'll take you there. But then she sees things that she wants me to do, and I realize, no, this is not a good idea. I'll keep her out of there, or else she comes up with ideas. And I just got a new home a few months ago, so we have spent a lot of time working on this house and still have a lot to go. Now I'm trying to be outside in the yard some. But yeah, my wife turned those tables on for that one. She's smarter than I thought. Oh, Harbor Freight, Steve. Yeah, it's cool, but I like Lowe's is my favorite. But Tractor Supply is cool, and there's a really good Ace Hardware store down here where I live in Southern Maryland now. I was impressed. It's a nice place. Brandon, realistically, who and how can the Commanders come up with a more cap space? Well, long-term deals, you kick them out longer, give them, you guarantee more money up front. You can stretch it out. But look at the Rams. The Rams said, hey, man, we took a chance, loaded up, won a Super Bowl, and now we got to pay for it and rebuild. Would you take that deal, win a Super Bowl every 5 years or so, and then stink for a while and then come back and do it again? I'd take that deal versus just being for every year. Does Mitchell still own that Ace? I don't know. I don't know. Oh, yeah. All right. What time is it? 9:10. Okay. All right. I can sit here all day. But, wow, we had a good attendance tonight. I really appreciate everybody. Hit that thumbs up button. I don't know. Somebody thinks that's important. That's why I always say that's why I start every video for the algorithm that says, please like, share, subscribe. I just say it mindlessly now, but it's for the algorithm, and it makes people happy. Somebody. So make somebody happy. I don't care. Don't hit the thumbs down button. That one would tick me off. But, did I think Taylor Heineke was worth investing more time in coaching? Daniel asked. No, I think he was what he was, and I think he was a good backup, and he didn't want to go, but Atlanta paid him so much he took it. So good for him. He's a good guy, real good guy. I'm going to miss Taylor, one of the happy guys I liked. Is Woodbridge a stadium's possibility? Asked Greg. No, no, it's too far down there. on there. OG, DMV. Oh, God. I hate DMV, though, as a term. It's Washington. It's not the DMV. The DMV is where you go get your license renewed. And in Washington, D.C., that is what they call it. They don't call it the MVA like Maryland on there. I don't know why. That's the new trendy thing for people to call. So there's lots of new words. That's okay. Life goes on. And so anyway, let's see. I don't know. So I should go watch something on TV. I don't know what's on. Don't care. I haven't seen TV all day. I can't go a whole day without TV. Without TV, my God. You know, I haven't been able to watch a lot of sports. Been busy, but that's okay. So if you want to go on tour, I haven't talked about it, but if you'd like to go see Washington, I've had 6 viewers call for tours lately that we're going out now. I can take you anywhere in D.C. and talk about anything you want. And we can go eat pizza and talk Commanders if you like. Just go to Monumental Thoughts, my website, and email me from there. I don't like to give out my email direct like this because God knows what would happen. Not that you can't figure it out, but I try to make it a little harder. I've had to block a few people lately. They've been just too much. I don't, you can have a different opinion. I don't care about that, but people get nasty lately with this team sale, and I don't need that grief, quite frankly. So, it's all free content, yet people want to complain with bad words. I'll just put it that way. All right, guys. Will be back next Monday. Not positive, but I would say probably because it's busy right now. I'll be doing a lot of Mondays up through the draft and some during camps, but I want to take a little time to be free too. So anyway, thank you all so much for coming. I do appreciate it. I hope you learned something. Most of it was true. We'll see. That's what I usually say at the end of tours on there. So Brandon, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And Will, thank you for coming. I feel like the lady in our romper room. I see everybody on here, but I do appreciate everybody, and especially those of you who hit the thanks button as a way of trying to support us on here, because journalism never paid well, but now it pays awful. So that's why I do tour guiding, among all the things. Everybody wants you to take nothing anymore for it. Hey, Steve, thanks so much for coming. You should come down and see me. You know where I live, or at least the town. If you let me know, I'll tell you the address. But the general area on there. Brent, thank you so much for coming on all of this. And Hank, you too. My next door neighbor is Hank. He's my new hero. And okay, we got everybody else. So I'm Rick Snider for Rick Snider Swarson. Thank you for coming, and I'll see you soon.